19, verse 21. Leaving that place, Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. A Canaanite woman from that vicinity came to him, crying out, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is demon-possessed and suffering terribly." Jesus did not answer a word. So his disciples came to him and urged him, "Send her away, for she keeps crying out after us." He answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel." The woman came and knelt before him. "Lord, help me," she said. He replied, "It is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs." "Yes, it is, Lord," she said. "Even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus said to her, "Woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted." And her daughter was healed at that moment. When I was a baby Christian, just born again and still struggling free of my unbiblical cord, there was a fad among my fellow Christian students for wearing a WWJD bracelet. WWJD stands for What Would Jesus Do? And was supposed to prompt us to think before we did anything, to make Jesus our moral example. This is very right and proper, as far as it goes, but we should realise that we don't live in the same time, culture and land as him, that we do not share his mission to save the world through his atoning sacrifice, and, most importantly, that we are not the eternal Son of God, the second person of the Trinity, creator and king of all that exists. Today's passage is one of those times that we should not do what Jesus did. Let's first think about the history, culture and geography. Jesus travelled from a village by the Sea of Galilee towards the Phoenician Mediterranean coast, into an area occupied by people who were very hostile to the Jews. They were idolaters who thought that Jews were very arrogant and looked down on them for not following the one true God. This is not very different to the culture that we live in today. Have you heard people saying that Christians are very arrogant for claiming that only they are going to heaven? This is only arrogant if it's not true, or if we made up the rules. It is not at all arrogant if we have learned the truth about salvation by grace from the Word of God and are passing it on so others can be saved. It says nothing about us, everything about the grace of God. This woman who approaches Jesus has probably been through the rigmarole of trying to get a pagan exorcism for her daughter. We rarely think about demons in 21st century England, but they are a frequent theme in both the Old and New Testaments. I went through a fairly unwise phase of researching exorcisms in different cultures. In each case, they are humiliating, expensive, and usually pointless failures. Some even convert the demon to their own religion and leave the possessed person in the same state or worse as before. Imagine the heartache of this woman to see her daughter in the horrific state of being possessed. It's no wonder that she came humbly to the person of a race she didn't like to seek help. Jesus then calls her a dog. This is one of those really troubling sections of the Bible that cause people to wince a bit at first reading. If you dig a little, however, it gets better. And when you do a deep dive, you find pearls of wisdom and glory. Firstly, he uses a special Greek word meaning little dog or pet dog, as against dirty mutt. Secondly, it's very clear from many other passages that this is not a comment on her gender, but her cultural background, which we've already seen was wildly corrupt. Thirdly, it was a test of faith, not for Jesus, but for the woman. The best thing there was for her was to cast off the shackles of her culture and embrace the truth in Jesus. In recognizing that Jesus represented the truth of Judaism, which is of course pre-Christian Christianity. Christianity is Judaism fulfilled. That Jesus represented the truth of Judaism, she begged humbly to be treated as a pet dog. And he showed his love and compassion by doing what she asked. What about us in 21st century Britain? I trust none of us see any group with the animosity that the Jews and Canaanites had. But we do live among friends and neighbours who don't understand what it means to be Christian. A few questions I want to ask here. Do we live lives that are sufficiently different to cause them to stop and think? How do we react when they ask us about what we believe? Do our lives point people to Jesus? Or are we, like the disciples, asking Jesus to send her away? The woman was a Gentile, just like we are. Does her example inform how we should come to Jesus? In humility, like a child, or even a pet dog? The woman persisted in coming to Jesus despite her culture, the disciples' rebuke, and even Jesus' own initial apparent disregard. Her persistence, faith and humility are what got her the result she needed. If you need something from Jesus today, perhaps there's a situation that is beyond you, or a relationship you need to see healed, go to Jesus. Keep praying. Pray until something happens. And that's a better wristband to wear. Not WWJD, because we are not Jesus. But PUSH, push, pray until something happens. Because we need his help in life. Even though we don't deserve it, by birth or merit, Jesus answers our faithful prayers out of his own compassion, because he is just that good. God bless.